Max talks more about his future after Red Bull starts to lose its advantage. Aston Martin targets one of Ferrari's key engineers, and more on the silly season as Carlos waits for Red Bull's final decision. Before we start the video, do consider subscribing to the channel for daily F1 news. Let's get straight into the latest F1 news. When asked if he would consider switching teams given Red Bull's reduced advantage compared to their rivals, Max Verstappen responded by saying that if he adopted that mindset, he would be changing teams constantly after each race. Over the past 2 seasons, Red Bull has dominated Formula 1, with Verstappen achieving 34 Grand Prix victories in 2022 and 2023 and securing 3 consecutive World Championship titles. However, this season has presented a tougher competition for them. Although Verstappen has won the majority of the races, with 5 out of 8, his 3 losses stand in stark contrast to Red Bull's solitary defeat in the 2023 championship. This has resulted in increased pressure in the standings, with Red Bull leading Ferrari by 24 points in the Constructors' Championship, while Verstappen holds a 31-point lead over Charles Leclerc in the drivers' standings. Former Haas team boss Günther Steiner dismisses the notion that Red Bull is experiencing a decline, stating that it is rather their rivals catching up. Nonetheless, this situation has once again sparked questions about Verstappen's future. Even though Verstappen has made it clear that he remains loyal to Red Bull and values the team's loyalty in return, his current contract extends until the end of 2028. He had previously acknowledged that Red Bull possesses the fastest car when asked about his future. Now, with the potential end of Red Bull's dominance on the horizon, Verstappen was asked if he would consider switching teams in the future. In response, he stated, "Well, it's not as simple as that," when interviewed by the official F1 website. Verstappen believes that they still possess a very fast car, as evidenced by their performance this season, where they have consistently led the championship. He expresses contentment with his current situation, highlighting the significant investments being made in the engine side of things. Verstappen emphasizes the need to continue working and striving to improve their overall package. For now, that is the sole focus on his mind. He believes that entertaining thoughts of changing teams constantly would be an impractical approach, as one could potentially consider switching after every single race if they desired. Ultimately, Verstappen concludes by saying that such thoughts are not on his mind. McLaren has managed to exceed their expectations with the upgraded MCL38, unlike some of their competitors who struggle to translate their simulation progress into actual lap time. At the Miami Grand Prix, McLaren introduced a heavily revised MCL38, which resulted in Lando Norris securing his first ever Formula 1 victory. Although McLaren couldn't replicate the same level of success in subsequent races, they achieved second place at both the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and the Monaco race. During the Imola race, Norris came quite close to Max Verstappen, trailing behind by a mere 0.725s at the finish line. However, in the street race in Monte Carlo, Oscar Piastri finished 7 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Similar to Mercedes and Red Bull, McLaren has also faced challenges in ensuring that their factory data aligns with the on-track performance. However, this situation has actually worked in their favor. According to team boss Andrea Stella, the upgrades have provided more downforce in all conditions, and the car has proven to be well-behaved, especially in low-speed situations. Stella emphasizes the need to thoroughly understand why the car's performance has improved in low-speed corners. This unexpected development could serve as a significant opportunity for further advancements and increased competitiveness on circuits with similar characteristics. Stella clarifies that this positive outcome is not due to a correlation issue, but rather a result of McLaren's upgrades functioning as expected, ultimately enhancing the car's lap time. McLaren currently holds the 3rd position in the Constructors' Championship with 184 points, trailing behind Red Bull with 276 points. Lando Norris, who is placed 3rd in the drivers' standings, is 56 points behind Max Verstappen. Aston Martin is reportedly interested in recruiting Enrico Cardile, who currently serves as Ferrari's technical director, and is considered a crucial figure in the team's recent accomplishments. While Aston Martin was rumored in March to have made a substantial financial offer to Adrian Newey, the renowned design expert from Red Bull Racing, the team has now shifted their focus towards Cardile within Ferrari. Cardile has been associated with Ferrari since 2005, when he initially joined the team to oversee projects in the GT Championship. In 2016, he transitioned to the Formula 1 division and assumed the role of vehicle project manager the following year. His contributions have been vital to Ferrari's resurgence, with their drivers Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc achieving victories this season. Consequently, Ferrari currently holds the second position in the Constructors' Championship, trailing Red Bull by a close margin of 24 points. This achievement has raised expectations for a potential title battle. As the head of Ferrari's chassis and aerodynamics department, Cardile has played a pivotal role in the team's success, catching the attention of Aston Martin. Despite failing in their attempt to secure Newey, who may potentially join Ferrari in the upcoming season, Aston Martin has reportedly reached out to Cardile. The intention behind this approach is to entice him if he feels unsettled about potential changes to his role due to Newey's potential arrival. According to reports from Motorsport.com, Aston Martin believes there might be an opening to attract Cardile if he perceives his position to be diminished by Newey's involvement. However, it is important to note that Newey's move to Ferrari is not yet confirmed. Eddie Jordan, Newey's manager, in response to a report by the Daily Mail claiming the deal is already finalized, dismissed the claim as inaccurate. Jordan asserted that no decision has been made yet, and they are exploring opportunities while keeping their options open. He emphasized that openly stating Newey's allegiance to a specific team, such as Ferrari in this instance, would be greatly misleading. These discussions and negotiations should be approached with caution since no concrete plans or agreements have been reached at this stage. Guenther Steiner expresses his confusion over Red Bull's reported decision to keep Sergio Perez for the next season, considering the potential negative impact on their position in the Constructors' Championship. Perez managed to secure his seat at Red Bull for this year's championship after finishing second last year, helping the team achieve their first-ever 1-2 finish in the drivers' standings and contributing to their recent success. Steiner questions the longevity of Sergio Perez at Red Bull. Although Perez had a strong start to the season, finishing as the runner-up 3 times in the first 4 races behind Max Verstappen, he has not been able to reach the podium in the past 3 Grand Prix. Additionally, he failed to qualify for Q3 in the last 2 events. Currently ranked 5th in the drivers' standings, Perez is trailing Verstappen by a significant 62-point margin. Among the top 3 teams, he has the largest gap to his teammate. As a result, Red Bull's position as the leader in the Constructors' Championship is now at risk, with Ferrari trailing them by only 24 points after 8 races. Steiner believes that if all the teams started from 0 points today, considering the progress made by Ferrari and McLaren, along with Perez's recent form, Red Bull would not win the team's championship. In an interview with the Red Flags podcast, Steiner elaborated on his perspective, stating that comparing Perez's point contributions to his teammates, as well as considering the setups of the other teams, Red Bull is at a disadvantage. While acknowledging that Perez is not a bad driver, he believes the other teams have their drivers working more closely together. Given these circumstances, the hosts of the podcast questioned Guenther Steiner about Red Bull's decision to retain Perez, considering the team's history of quickly replacing drivers. He responded by saying that this question often perplexes him as well. He wonders why Red Bull doesn't give other drivers a chance, such as Tsunoda, who he believes has been performing exceptionally well for the RB team. He also mentions other options available like Sainz, although he acknowledges Albon's recent signing with Williams. Steiner speculates that the team's approach might change when they no longer have the dominant car, as they would need both drivers to score points. He points out that the other competing teams have strong driver lineups, such as Carlos and Leclerc at Ferrari, and Piastri, who finished second in Monte Carlo, along with Norris at McLaren. As a result, there may not be many viable choices for Red Bull. However, Steiner is quick to deny any suggestion that Red Bull is declining, emphasizing that it's more about Ferrari and McLaren narrowing the gap. He mentions that he wouldn't classify it as a decline for Red Bull, but rather a catching up of the other teams. He believes Red Bull is not getting slower or worse, but rather the competition is getting stronger. Steiner explains that when a team is challenged, like Red Bull is now, they tend to take risks, become more edgy, and make more mistakes. He compares it to life in general, stating that mistakes are more likely when one is being pursued. Conversely, when things are going well, even if a mistake is made, it doesn't cause significant harm. He anticipates that the challenges will increase, mistakes will occur, car issues will arise, and they will have to work harder. In conclusion, he reiterates that it is not a decline for Red Bull, but rather a commendable improvement by the other teams. He dismisses any hopes of Red Bull slowing down, emphasizing that they remain a strong team, while acknowledging the progress made by their competitors. Rival contenders hoping for a shot at the championship will be let down, as Allard Kalf believes that everyone is merely acting like it's all very tense, when in reality, it isn't. According to Calf, Red Bull will soon reclaim victory once more. Having lost 2 out of the past 3 Grand Prix, Miami and Monaco, and barely making it to the finish line in Imola, Max Verstappen stated in Monaco that Red Bull had been exposed. Are we exaggerating Red Bull's problems? As their competitors, particularly Ferrari and McLaren, have closed in on the gap, a significant flaw with Red Bull's F1 car has been brought to light. It struggles with curbs and bumps, a core issue. However, Verstappen claims that this problem has persisted since 2022, but in previous years, their advantage over rivals concealed it. It's not a new issue either. We've had this problem since 2022. In the past 2 years, I think we had a car advantage, he explained. This meant it wasn't as noticeable because we excelled in the corners where the curves and bumps weren't much of a hindrance. But with everyone catching up, it's natural that when you don't improve your weakest point, it becomes apparent. Helmut Marko acknowledges that this might also pose a problem for the team in Canada, with the Red Bull Motorsport advisor predicting that Montreal could be a challenging weekend for us. However, before rivals and those not supporting Red Bull rejoice over the prospect of a 2024 title battle and the potential end of Red Bull's dominance, Dutch racing driver Calf suggests that all the drama is being blown out of proportion and that Verstappen will triumph once again in Canada. I don't think we should overreact either, Calf told Viaplays in the slipstream. In Shanghai and Suzuka, Max was outstanding. That doesn't just vanish into thin air. It also depends on the circuit, and Max could have easily won in Miami if he hadn't collided with that bollard. And if Max completes his lap during qualifying here, he'll simply secure a spot on the front row and finish second behind Leclerc. Then the conversation would be much different. We're just making a big fuss right now, but let's wait for Canada and Barcelona first. He can win in Canada, and he will win in Barcelona. However, fellow expert Kees van der Grint believes that Red Bull has one major weak spot in the championship fight: Sergio Perez. Perez has achieved fewer podium finishes than Verstappen has Grand Prix victories, 4 compared to 5, and has accumulated a total of 107 points compared to his teammates' 169. With Red Bull holding a slender 24-point advantage over Ferrari, the Mexican driver's performance could potentially jeopardize Red Bull's standing in the Constructors' Championship. Furthermore, Perez has failed to make it into the top 10 during the last 2 qualifying sessions, Imola and Monte Carlo, leaving Verstappen alone near the front of the grid without support. The car is less dominant, but it was the same story last year. The difference was that the competition wasn't as strong back then, former Bridgestone tire engineer van der Grint stated. To which Calf added, "And now they have 4 competitors to contend with." Van der Grint replied, "While the other 2 teams have 2 good drivers, Red Bull has 1 exceptional driver and 1 who isn't even participating." Carlos Sainz may consider joining Williams as a stepping stone towards his ambition of returning to Red Bull for the 2026 Formula One season, according to reports. The outgoing Ferrari driver is reportedly close to making a decision about his future. Sainz currently does not have a seat for the 2025 F1 season after learning that he will be replaced by Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion. After receiving this news, Sainz had an impressive start to the 2024 F1 season, culminating in his victory at the Australian Grand Prix. This achievement came just 2 weeks after he missed the previous race in Saudi Arabia due to appendix surgery. Sainz's outstanding performance drew attention from Red Bull and Mercedes, but recent events have limited his options for the 2025 season. According to PlanetF1.com, Mercedes is not currently considering Sainz as a replacement for Hamilton, as they are willing to take their time to find a suitable candidate. In the meantime, there have been some behind-the-scenes issues at Red Bull, potentially opening up the possibility of Max Verstappen leaving the team despite having a contract until the end of the 2028 F1 season. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff has made no secret of his desire to acquire the 26-year-old driver in recent months. If Verstappen is unavailable for the 2025 season, it is highly likely that Mercedes will promote Andrea Kimi Antonelli, their 17-year-old junior sensation currently competing in F2, to be George Russell's teammate. During the Miami Grand Prix last month, PlanetF1.com revealed that the FIA received a special request to allow Antonelli to race in F1 before turning 18. There have been rumors that Antonelli might even race for Williams, a Mercedes customer, before the current season concludes. Sainz's options are said to be between Audi, who will take over the Sauber team in 2026, and Williams. Audi is widely reported to have offered the 29-year-old driver a lucrative long-term deal. Despite Williams' low position in the constructors' standings in 2024, 8th place with 2 points from 8 races, Italian publication La Gazzetta dello Sport suggests that a move to Williams could provide Sainz with the flexibility he needs to keep his options open for the 2026 season. It is suggested that Sainz could sign a 1-year contract with an option to extend for another year, allowing him to explore the market and pursue his ultimate goal of joining Red Bull. With new engine and chassis regulations coming into effect in 2026, Verstappen might decide that the end of the next season is a more appropriate time to leave Red Bull for Mercedes. Mercedes is believed to be well prepared for the new rules. Red Bull may need to find 2 new drivers for the new era of F1 if Sainz fails to secure a seat. In that case, a long-term stay at Williams could become a serious possibility, considering their association with Mercedes, potentially leading to an improvement in the team's performance from 2026 onwards. Williams experienced a significant improvement when F1 introduced the V6 hybrid engines in 2014. After finishing 9th in the constructors' standings with only 5 points in the final season of the V8 era in 2013, the switch to Mercedes engines propelled them to 3rd place in 2014, with 9 podium finishes throughout the season. Returning to Red Bull would reunite Sainz with the team that gave him his F1 debut in 2015 with the Toro Rosso B team. During that season, he was partnered with a 17-year-old Verstappen. Despite performing well alongside Verstappen in 2015 and 2016, the Dutchman was promoted to Red Bull's senior team after 4 races in the 2016 season. Verstappen has since established himself as one of the greatest drivers in history, securing 3 consecutive world championships. After Toro Rosso, Sainz had stints at Renault and McLaren before joining Ferrari as Sebastian Vettel's successor for the 2021 F1 season. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. Now watch this video to get more of the latest F1 news.